Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to IRL Season 8 F1 Tier Round 7 at Britain. I am your commentator, IRL Neon, or Neon Scottish Rabbit, or Jared Fosbury, as people do know me as. I will be on my own today since my co-commentator is not feeling too good. He will hopefully be back next week, as we've already got cars already out on track, as you've missed a couple of seconds of quali, and actually, I think we have the Williams of Gavin, if it lets me actually click his name. Yes, Gavin will be the first one on a lap then. We're 15 today. A few people who couldn't make it, which is understandable. You know, we're not expecting to make every week, but we'll make most of it, of course. Right now then, the Williams driver of Gavin will be the first one to begin a flying lap around Britain today. As we'll see who will take the top step in quali, who end up at the back of the grid. As here comes Gavin then. He begins his flying lap then, as he's now entering turn number 1. Nice and tidy exit there. Remember, Williams are the defending Constructors Champions. Unfortunately, they're not doing well this season, the Constructors, at the moment, since AlphaTauri, Gavin there, a bit of a lag. AlphaTauri with Matthew Alder on his own, I believe. Also now with Devon, who's now partnered with him, will be fighting with the Constructors. And unfortunately, neither Red Bull of Cameron and I can't remember the other driver isn't here today, so that is a shame. It's not like Cameron didn't miss a race. However, a few lockups there from Gavin, not getting comfortable in the Williams, and he's actually backed off his lap, so he's giving it up then. Now he's now going on board with Caden. No, it's actually Brandon then. So Brandon then in the Mercedes, back in the top tier this season. So he was in F2. As I said, Devin won the championship last week for the F2 tier, and Williams won the Constructors for F2. Right now then we're on board with Brandon as he takes Megan to Beckett's through Chapel. Nice and tight now down the long straight. He's got the racing point behind him. Is Julio on a lap as well? He's coming to the line as I'm just trying to get the channel up. As Rocco then, it was actually Rocco then who is a second faster than Brandon. He's done 24.2 on the soft compound sides, and Cameron has joined, so that is good. So we will have 16, so he has made it then to the session. Brandon with the 24.2 will be happy. Sorry, Rocco with the 24.2 will be happy with that. Too many B's. Brandon then second with a 25.3. He will be happy with that. With Ryan then, the former F2 champion, 24.391 in second place currently. Julio in the other racing point in third place with a 24.4. As Caden then takes second with a 24.388. He had a disappointing race in Bahrain, and that ended his race. As now going on board with Pedro, who's on a 24.200, 1500 quicker than Rocco at the moment, who's currently in second place. As now we'll go on board with the next driver approaching the finish line, and I believe that is the AlphaTauri of Matthew Alder. It is Matthew Alder then, as he's now coming around at the final corner. He's coming to the line. What time it is? It's a 24.211. Well, actually 210 actually. 10,000th of a second off Pedro then, who's taken pole position currently. As the Haas driver of Matthews then goes 7th with 24.459. The next car, who I believe is on an actual flyer, is actually Brandon again. In the mediums, is he? No, he's actually peeling into the pits. So I don't think anybody else is actually on a flyer, as that's Cameron then picking his car, as it's just messed me up for some reason. It's not letting me select people. As we'll go on board with Devin, I'm guessing, who's currently 15th. Coming to the line, goes 8th with 24.559 then. 1/10 exactly behind his championship rival from F2. As Michael Reese is in 4th place, and as Cameron's already left this session, so Cameron's having internet issues. Hopefully he can make it back, as we now go on board with Joey in the Renault, who wanted start of F2 to be promoted to F1, and now he is in F1, and let's see how he can do then in the top tier. Bit of riding the curb there, a bit of grass on the tyres, which could affect his little flying lap in the end. Ryan in the other Renault in 6th place currently. Let's see where Joey can go. Around the final corner he goes then. And he goes 12th quickest with a 24.993. Couple hundreds of Ollie, who was complaining about the Ferrari with its rear end, and the Ferrari is actually quite stable, to be honest. I don't understand why he's having issues with the Ferrari. Maybe setup related. Hopefully he doesn't have any issues today in qualifying as we go on board with Energy Zeus, who's on an out lap, so we'll stay on board with him since he will be on a flyer very shortly as Cameron has made it back to the session. Right now, while we wait for him to come around the track as everyone's going past. As we just load up this, see if any other people will be joining. And good evening, Sandra. I didn't actually see your message since PlayStation didn't pop it up, and it's good to see you in the stream. Well then, as we go back on board with Energy Zeus, who is about to start his flying lap. As now he is approaching turn 1 then. Here he goes as he begins turn 1, runs a bit wide, into turn 2, really flat out there. Got to get a good exit as he's now approaching turn number 3. Well, you've got to get right, he goes in 4th gear there, surprisingly. I thought it would have gone 3rd. But it is his gearing as we go on board with Energy Zeus then. As now he hits the DRS zone, activates the DRS down the straight as he's now approaching turn number 6 and 7. Oof, avoids that curb altogether, almost loses the rear end there, it looked like on the Williams. It looked very tail happy. But then coming back, oh, another mistake there, and don't get how that's not an invalidation, but I think he's been a bit lucky. It's not going to be a good flying lap, I don't think, with that mistake, because we've got 9 minutes and 38 seconds remaining, still got plenty of time for another flyers, as it goes flat out there through the fast right-hander, which is great to see, as a lot of people last season did lift off as they couldn't make it through the corners. Now he approaches Maggots and Beckett as the Red Bull moves off the track, as he's now coming through Chapel then. Down the long straight he goes. This way he's going to go flat out now in the Williams, approaching the speed around about 203 miles an hour. Actually hit 204 there as he's now going through the next right-hander. Nice and tidy, a little bit of tail happy there as well at the end. But then he's coming into the chicane. Got to get it right because you can lose so much time and also lose traction if you go too early on the throttle. As he comes around the final corner then, and Energy Zeus goes 14th quickest with a 25.401. Only a 10th slower than Brandon, who is on the medium tyre. He set that on. And he's the only guy who did qualify in mediums, currently in 13th. As we go on board with Cameron Young, as it's doing this thing again. So on board with Cameron Young right now, who's this year was started on the game with line. Now he's on no line, since Shizu have said that he has to go no line. Let's see how he can do this. He had a very disappointing Bahrain race. Hopefully he doesn't have a disappointing race today. And his first sector time is currently purple then, but purple times could be misleading on this game. Sometimes it is correct, sometimes it's wrong, but he is purple at the moment in sector 1. I'm simply saying good luck, Energy, and good luck to him indeed. Right now then, Cameron in 15th, currently no lap time set. The other Red Bull in, well, I was going to say 16th, but now he's in 11th, and look how much track limits Cameron then pulled there. Couldn't keep the car on the track, and will have to forget about that lap altogether. As we will go up on the next round, I believe, if it stops doing this. As I think I've just missed it on that. Yeah, I think it was Caden who just finished the lap. Yeah, Caden moves up to 5th then with a 24.3 then. A 10th currently off pole position. Brandon is on softs, he's done his flying lap. What about Oli Flavel? Currently in 13th with a 24.9 on soft tyres. Let's see what he can do today in the Ferraris. He is on a lap. Bit of a lock up there. Taylor's not that much rear happy. He's actually keeping it under control, so I think the setup today is a bit better. Ryan sets a new fastest lap. Rocco then sets a new fast lap then. 24 flat then. 2 drivers going in the 24 flats. Very close for those two. So that means definitely that Pedro, Matthew, Julio and Caden. And speaking about Pedro, he improves another 24 flat. 3 drivers very close. A couple hundred separating them. As Ollie gets a bit of a cheeky slipstream there from Gavin as he's coming down the old start straight. He's now approaching the fast right-hander then. Rides the curve, doesn't run wide, no rear end issues or anything on this Ferrari at the moment, and he looks good for good lap time this time, Ollie is, as he's now approaching Maggots and Beckett. Nice and tidy through there, lifted a little bit just to make the corner. but a good entry and exit out of there as he comes down long straight. Currently 2.5 tenths up on his lap, so he's going to probably set a mid 24 as Matthew Waller sets another 24 flat. 4 drivers now in the 24 flats now as we see. Matthew then is currently in pole position. Will anybody able to match that time or even beat it? As here comes Ollie then round the final 2 corners, coming to the line, and it's going to be a 124.7, 2.5 tenths improvement. Moves him up a couple of positions in 12th. He will be happy with that since he had struggles in Bahrain, and he still knows that he may have a lot of work to do. 6 minutes remaining of the session, so he's still got plenty of time, maybe one more run possible, as the pit lane is very slow around here. As we'll go on board with Gavin then, who's currently, bit of a lock up there in turn number 4. Bit of rear end there as he's now going down the straight. Hopefully he can get that right. Right now then, he's come down the old straight. As he's just gone through Copse, as he's now going to be approaching Baggett and Beckett's. Nice tyres, go for a TV pod view. Nice tyre, riding those curves. He knows he can go faster, Gavin. Through Chapel then, out of turn 14, but he invalidates, and that's his lap over then, and that is a shame for Gavin since he could have been on a very good lap since he was improving. There's nobody else that is on a flyer, but as I said earlier, we're going to go on board with Energy Zeus, who's the only one out on a out lap. Will be on another flyer, and I think this will be his final attempt because I don't think he's got enough time to do a lap, make it back round. It'll be close if he can, but I don't think he will, as he's now coming into Club Corner. As he's now approaching Abbey as turn number 1. Nice and tidy. Oh, he almost, very good reactions there in the Williams. Almost drifting there through turn 1 as Julio moves out of the way. He will be on a flying lap soon. Same with Caden, who's now begun his possible final attempt. As now we go past the arena. As he's now going down straight, approaching Brooklands. Into Brooklands he goes, into the field now, runs a bit deep there, a bit of correction on the car as he comes out of Woodcote. Nice and tight there from Energy Zeus, trying to gain some more time. He's probably gained a lot of time since he made a mistake earlier, as he's now coming through Copse Corner. Doesn't lift off, absolutely flat to the floor, as Cameron still hasn't set a lap time yet though, but there's 3 minutes 42 seconds remaining on the session, so he needs to nail his next lap. Energy Zeus hasn't had a very good Maggers and Beckett's. We end a bit tail happy out of Chapel. Down the hanger straight then, as he's 2 tenths improvement, so could see a low 25. He's really struggling with the pace right now in this Williams. As he's now, that is an illegal pit entry, and that, I don't know if that may be investigated, to be honest. It ain't in the race, well, it will be in the race if he does that, but I don't know in quali, he might be a little let away with it. As Kieran then is the next person on a flyers, we'll go on board with him. Now going down the straight, approaching Brooklands. See what his sector time is, and he's 9 thousandths down in sector 1. That's probably going to be a bit a shame for him as he's now approaching Luffield. Takes a weird line, if that would have run wide and take a tight line and get a better exit, but it's his line. As Kane then comes out of Woodcote as he's now approaching Copse Corner, turn number 9. Nice and tight there from the Mercedes driver, Caden. He knows he's still got a Constructors' Championship within reach with his teammate as Brandon. So I have 11 views, which is great. As Caden seriously picking up the pace. Runs over that curb and grass there. That's probably going to cost him a little bit of time as he's still down in his time, actually, a couple of hundreds. So he hasn't found an improvement. So it's the best lap he can do. It's a 24.3 unless he finds a ton of time through Club and Vale. As he's now approaching Vale into the chicane, which then comes to Club's corner. Tries to put the power on early as he can. What time will he do? Will he beat it? And he does by 1900ths of a second. Goes 6th quickest with a 24.298. Next driver on a lap then, I believe, is the racing point of Julio, who's actually peeled into the pits. So his lap is game over. The next driver on a lap isn't Michael Royce. Is it Cameron Young? Cameron Young's messed up his flyer then, so he's going to have a one-lap old tyres. Unless he wants to qualify at the back of the grid. Oh, has he got wing damage? No, he hasn't, so he will be gaining his lap. So, Pedro, I believe, or is it Michael? It might actually be Michael then who's actually on the flyer currently. He's a 10th up in Sector 1, 26.7. Yellow's in the Hangar Straight. Have a nice tidy there from Michael, looking for a good result, especially from the Alfa Romeo team, as they did a good result last weekend. Let's see if they can make the exact same result. As Michael then through Cops, nice and tidy. There is a throw. I think that's Ollie Flavel who's made a mistake through Vale. Ryan sets a new fast lap, 23.9. So Matthew's lap has been beaten. Ryan has done a 23.945. So we're finally in the 23s. As Julio has retired then, as Michael there got a bit of slipstream there from Caden, I believe. As let's see what Michael can do then. Now, as he's now approaching Vale. Nice and tidy. Got a second. Oh, a bit of a lock up there somewhere on one of the tyres. I don't get the best camera angle. Got a nose cam. As he's now approaching Club Corner. What time will it be? And it's a 24 flat. Just missed out on the 23s there. 24.005. 6,000th there. Off to make it into 23. That's a shame there for Michael. And he will be happy though with that, with second place. As Pedro is on a lap. As I believe Matthew Ordinat is about to finish his flyer. Let's see what he does. Or has he begun it? No, he's actually invalidated. Matthew's invalidated, so I don't think he will be improving. Pedro improves, so 23.842 there. So he will be happy with first place currently. Matthew hasn't got time, so Matthew isn't going to take pole. Cameron hasn't set a lap time. He invalidated and went 16th and stayed in 16th. What about Lee Kelly, who's a reserve today in the Red Bull? Apologies for that black screen there, as Lee Kelly did have the fastest Sector 3, but unfortunately only goes 9th quickest at the moment. As we go on board with Rocco, actually, hang on. I thought Matthew... No, Matthew actually hasn't validated. Sorry, my bad. I thought he did in a lap. Rocco stays 5th then with a 24.066. And Matthew would have taken pole. He would have done a 23.7. So he would have taken pole position. So Matthew has got the pace to fight for the win today. And that is a shame for him, as nobody else is on a flying lap right now. Well then, as we now go down the official results, Pedro then takes first place with a 23.842, 1/10 quicker than Ryan, who takes second with a 23.945. These two only making it in the 23s. Michael then in third, Matthew fourth, Rocco in fifth, Matthews in sixth, Caden seventh, Julio in eighth, Lee Kelly in ninth, Devin 10th, Joey, or Humongous as he calls himself, in 11th, Brandon 12th, Gavin in 13th, Ollie Fafel in 14th, Energy Zeus in 15th, and Cameron Young disappointing with no line today, not setting a lap time. However, though, he does stay in 16th and will be looking for a good result today. Well then, while we wait for the drivers, while we wait for the setup to make, people to go on the formation lap as the countdown has begun then for the formation lap to begin. We do have 20 seconds until then. So, my prediction for the race, I think Matthew is going to win, of course. You know, he's got the pace as he showed it in quali, he's just unfortunately invalidated. I think Pedro and Michael second and third, and I think fourth. I'm going to give Cameron. I think he can fight his way through, even with no line today. As he did struggle in Bahrain, I think he can get fourth. As long as he gets out of mayhem. It is Britain, of course, so anything can happen. As we begin at the formation lap, so let's see what the people's tyre choice who didn't make it in the top 10. As we bring that up now, and everybody else is on the other strategy, medium soft instead of soft medium. So everyone's on the reverse. So they could be a factor in this race if they've got the pace to actually challenge the guys on softs at the start of the race and actually be up there, as we do see the predicted pit stop strategy, which is not really needed since we know what the race strategy will be, unless it surprises us with wets out of nowhere. But I highly doubt it, as Ollie and Cameron have already been disqualified on the formation lap. You know, professionals. Well then, as we do go back down the grid order then, Pedro first, Ryan second, Michael Royce in third, Matthew Alder in fourth, Rocco is in fifth in race point, looking for another strong result since he got a podium last weekend. Matthews is in sixth, Caden seventh, Julio in eighth, Lee Kelly in ninth as a reserve for the Red Bull today, Devin in 10th, Joey in 11th, Brandon Glover in 12th place. Didn't really get a good qualifying lap in the end. Usually he's up there, but he's just struggled in 12th. Gavin 13th, Ollie 14th, Energies in 15th, and Cameron Young in 16th at the back of the grid. If you guys do want to put your predictions down, do them in the comments. We'll read them out. As I'm just making sure I have got the drivers right in the right cars and everything. Yeah, Lee is a reserve. Yeah, I am right then. So yeah, Lee is a reserve. Energy Zeus is also a reserve. Is Ethan, he likes to be called, so I will call him that in future. Apologies for just calling you Energy Zeus. I'm trying to think. Anybody I don't really know? Joey is humongous. Yeah, so I am saying everybody's name right. As we're about to start the British Grand Prix, as we're now down to 5 red lights for IRL Season 8 F1 Round 7 at Britain, and the lights are out, and it looks like the Renault has had an okay start. But so as the Alfa Romeo of Pedro, who takes the lead into turn 1. Ryan drops to second place as Michael and Matthew. Oh, look at Matthew trying to be optimistic, trying to dive. Oh, he hits Michael, and he's made a crash. He's caused a crash with Ryan, and that's definitely going to be investigated in the stewards. Naughty Matthew. Just, I can't believe it. Matthew has just punted someone into turn 1 into another driver, and that's a shame there for Matthew because it could cost him the rest. There's a fight further behind. Lee Kelly fighting with the AlphaTauri and the other Renault of Joey, I believe that is, as they're fighting tooth and nail with Devin for P8. As you can see, they're going side by side, almost 3 riders as the Mercedes running wide. Hopefully these guys don't have a crash, as we saw at turn 1 there was a crash. Hopefully they don't crash yet, as Lee Kelly, he's now pulling away, and he's actually trying to make a move on Michael Royce, and Michael is really struggling right now with the pace, as you can just see, as he got wing damage from the instance. There's Devin exceeding track limits. Hopefully he didn't do it too many times because he may pick up a penalty. And that's been an action-packed race as they're still trying to go side by side through Magnus Vegas. So we'll go further down. Brandon dropped to 13th. Ollie's already jumped Brand. Energy Zeus in 14th. Gavin 15th. And Ryan with the crash in 15th and has passed Gavin. So Ryan may need to pit as Energy Zeus there. Oh, as Ethan making a move on Brandon. Brandon has nothing to answer. And now he's... Look at Ethan. Where's Ethan come from? Ollie. Ooh, very close. Almost collected Ethan there. And Ethan has just made 2 positions quite easily. As for some reason it says Pedro has just lost all the positions in the world, and Gavin has retired into the pits. I don't know why. Ugh. And he's left. Oh, okay then. It's good evening there. Yeah, agreed. This is a hot fight. As Pedro then is in first place. I don't understand why it's saying he's not. However, we'll go on board with the racing point of Julio, who's currently got Caden dives into Brooklyn's on. There's contact there. Luckily no carbon fiber for Caden, no wing damage or anything flying off that car, and that was a very late move. And look at Lee Kelly making a move trying to get back past Devin as he's got Humongous right behind him, ready to pounce, ready to make the position and gain a spot because he's got a challenging Welshman behind him, Mr. Cameron Young in 11th, who's looking hungry, trying to fight his way through the field, started in 16th, already in 11th on lap number 2. At least actually we haven't had that glitch where it says the lap count is on lap number 3 on number 2. But I touch wood because it might happen next lap. As Joey now is in trouble. Cameron is gaining, using his ERS, trying to get along. Humongous defends on the inside, that is his move. Cameron's trying it round the outside. Humongous makes a mistake, touches the grass. Cameron and Humongous, they're going side by side, approaching Vale as the Red Bull and Renault going side by side. Hopefully we do see this in the future of F1. And there he goes. Cameron makes the move and moves him in position as Michael is fighting with Julio now down the start straight. Who's going to get the position into turn 1? And it is Michael currently at the moment, but he's got Julio all over his rear end, and if he's not careful he's going to lose a lot of positions if he makes a mistake. So we'll just stay on this rear camera shot now of Michael and see if he can pull away in sector 1. Fights further behind. I believe that's usually some Brandon there fighting for 14th. Neufield's already pitted and not gone on the hards. I know he had wing damage, but that's interesting. I was strapped on a set of softs, prayed for a safety car, and then got mediums. But he's going hard to the end, and he's going to try something out of the blue. Could work. Could even see him win the race. However, we have a fight for the lead of the race right now between the other Alfa Romeo and now newly teamed, well, Alfa Tauri, technically Toro Rosso. Matthew Orden in second is looking to attack Pedro, who's currently in the lead right now, and Matthew just wants to take another win at Britain. He didn't win last season actually, which was a shame. He got a 5-second penalty because he speeded in the pits after getting a punch actually entering, so he's hoping for some more good luck this season for his home track. And let's see what he can do. As Rocco still in 4th place as Ethan peels into the pits for his, I don't know if it's a scheduled stop or if he's got wing damage or something, but he is peeling into the pits. Look how close Matthew's getting now into Pedro. Getting really close there, but he just can't get the traction at the moment, and Pedro is saying you're going to have to fight a lot better than that to get past him, and these two have had a fight before, as Cameron Young and Lee Kelly now switched positions. I don't know if that was Lee just letting him through or Cameron just making a very easy overtake, because Cameron is absolutely flying right now and is ready to challenge Devin and Julio. We'll keep actually an eye on the fight. We'll also keep an eye of the lead fight as well, as Ethan then leaves the garage and will be coming out just behind Ollie, unfortunately, so that's going to be a shame. He's also on hard tyres, so he's going to try and make them to the end. As you can just see, Matthew is a lot quicker in sector 2 there than Pedro, but he's 1900ths down on his PB. But here comes Matthew on now, ready to make a move, and he's going for it round the well, actually down the inside, not round, down the inside into the right-hander. Makes the move quite easily there as we'll go on board with Julio and Devin. Devin's actually made the exact same move what Matthew did, so the Alfa Tauri team making moves in sync at the same corner. Oh, a bit of a lock up there on the racing point of Julio, who's going to have to watch out. Cameron isn't that far out. Both Red Bulls, both Renaults just behind him. So he's going to have to watch out indeed, as he's currently almost 5/10 down on his personal best lap. So those softs are starting to fail, and Cameron's already picked up a 3-second penalty already in today's race, so that could be crucial for the end, as we can see overtakes further behind. Ryan now has just made a move on Humongous, and Humongous then in 12th place, and Ryan now into 11th. As I go back to the fight for the leaders, Pedro hasn't finished with Matthew. He knows he can beat him. He's beat him twice last season. He can beat him again, he says. Could he make the position? Could he actually overtake him very soon before the pit stops? Because as soon as Matthew peels in the pits, goes on fresh mediums, I don't think you're going to have a chance. Because Matthew is like Michael Schumacher, stays behind the drive so long, then pulls a second away. Will Matthew be able to do that round here at Silverstone? Because Pedro is keeping up with him through Maccas and Beckett's. But he's losing a little bit of time out of the exits. Oh, runs a bit on the grass. That's going to cost him time. And Matthew is going to pull away a little bit more. As right now then, we're going to go on board with the battle for P8. Cameron Young versus Julio. Red Bull versus Racing Point. Red Bull, who used to have the Aston Martin sponsor, who's losing it to the Racing Point team, who we now named Aston Martin, as they go side by side into the right-hander. And Cameron Young makes the move, shoves him off a little bit, but giving plenty of space. And I've got to agree there, Eric, he has improved a lot, you know. He wasn't really up there at certain tracks, and he had 2 wins, and that motivated him, and he's improved a lot this season. Pedro has. He's still in second, challenging Matthew. 4/10 currently off him. As Cameron then made that move ahead of Julio. Too many BRT guys. Julio then in 9th. As we're going to go on board with a fight for 4th place, Mr. Rocco, who's doing a lot better this season now in F1 tier than he did in F2. He only actually scored points, I believe, the last round of F2. And he's currently in 4th, currently getting challenged by Caden, also trying to challenge Matthews, who's currently in 3rd. Well, great. It's good to see the SRL League looking into IRL. It's good to see, and it has been great battles so far, and hopefully we can see more great battles to begin with. As right now then, Caden is trying his best to keep up with Rocco, as that dirt isn't going to help, and this dirt this year is a lot more effective than last year. And Rocco is trying his best to catch up with the Haas driver ahead of him, but he's also trying to keep ahead of the Red Bull. But everyone's going on that grass there through Chapel, and Caden's actually going to have to watch out for Michael, because Michael's not that far behind, and he's actually gaining. And Matthew, what's happening to Matthew? These two are going side by side. I didn't see this. Matthew now is under threat by Pedro. Pedro's now sending it into Vale. Matthew gives him space. Matthew gets ahead currently. But as he messed up his run then, how much ERS has he got? He's only got 6%. Oh no! Humongous has lagged out. Oh, that's a shame. And he won't be allowed to rejoin since the corner cutting glitch, since Cody's haven't fixed it. Hopefully they do fix it soon, because it is a shame. Let's try that. In 12th place. Shame to see. As Matthew then, as Lee Kelly's just lost position to Ryan, but Matthew is in trouble. Here comes Pedro. That's his defensive move. He goes on the inside. Matthew's giving him space around the outside through Brooklands. There you go, now approaching Luffield. Pedro tries to switch, trying to get a better exit. Can't make it work as he's now in Luffield. Goes to 4th gear, trying to get a better exit than Matthew, and just can't make it work. This is where Matthew is in his element. The experienced 2-time world champion knows where to place the car, and Pedro still his 2nd season this in IRL, still learning the ropes and trying to close up on Matthew even more and trying actually to make the overtake. As we're on board with Matthew right now. Let's see how much slipstream Pedro's gaining. That's like a rocket ship going down there. Devin has just picked up a penalty. Pedro makes position on Matthew, so Pedro is now ahead and gets the position. See how long he... Ooh, Matthew almost rear ends him. Matthew needs to be careful. He's already rear ended 1 Alfa Romeo today. I don't think he wants to rear end 2, as he will also have that in the back of his mind. Will he get a penalty? Will he not? And it could affect his race result in the end, and he doesn't want that. He knows he needs to make the position and needs to gain some time. Matthew isn't really the hardest. He's just, when you do get aside, he doesn't really give you space, to be honest. But that's Matthew. He's very good at it. So I think Brandon's probably the worst driver of the past, because he just defends like man. You just can't get past him. And speaking about Brandon, actually, he's making a move on Humongous's AI, I believe. Yeah, he is. So Brandon then moves into 12th. And he will be happy with that, with a disappointing result, because he's on mediums, quality 12th, and he's still 12th, so he's going to have to find a way back, as Matthew's now in DRS range of Matthew Older. I'm going to see how much time Matthew's losing then, down the straights. He's not really gaining how Pedro gained. He's now gaining a lot now in the final bit of the straight, but that's just too late, and it isn't going to help him, so he's probably running very high wings. And Pedro peeling into the pits then, so he's making an undercut strategy, which could cost Matthew. Matthew now has to do something which he's done in the past, make an overcut work. He needs now to lap a second quicker at least to gain the time to actually make the position. As soon as he goes on those mediums, compared to these 8-lap softs, those mediums will be a lot better than these tyres. Matthew, you need to push, as he's actually pushed now a little bit, almost 3/10 already than Matthews, 1.3 seconds already. There's a few drivers into the pits. Oh, and the Alfa Romeo team are double stacking. That's going to hurt Michael then, and Michael will be very annoyed with that, and he's going to lose so much time. As Matthew then, 1.4 seconds now ahead of Matthews. Let's see what gap to leader is from when Pedro exits the garage. He's out of the pit lane. 28.7 seconds. I think the pit stop round here is 26. Let's see when he goes past the sector time. I don't think there's a move yet. Actually, yeah, there is, between Cameron and Devin. But we'll go on leader. As soon as he goes past sector time, it will fix itself, I'm guessing. Yep, it's 28.8, so I think it's a 26, maybe a 24 second pit stop, so I think it's roughly around about that. Matthew already 2.2 seconds ahead of Matthews. Matthew is picking up the pace. He knows what he's got to do now. He knows he can win this race if he gets a good in lap as he comes into the pits then and makes his scheduled stop. As Cameron Young then will take the provisional lead. He won't be the net leader, but as Rocco and Matthews then peels in the pits. Michael gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. And Devin and Julio couldn't pit since both their teammates are in the garage. And Cameron then will be pulling to the end and trying to pull up a gap compared to Matthew. As we're going to go on board with Matthew right now, actually. Matthew is leaving the pit lane. Where is Pedro? Pedro isn't even around the final corner yet. Did Pedro have wing damage? Oh no, he's coming around the corner. This is going to be close, actually. Has he done enough? Pedro is leaving turn 1. He's exiting turn 1 in front of Matthew Older. Matthew hasn't gained enough time. What about Caden? Caden is ahead of Rocco. Caden's got the position. So he's gained a position on the undercut. So his undercut has worked. Oh, bit of contact there between Matthews and Caden there. As Matthews 1.4 seconds off Pedro right now. So Pedro's undercut still worked, even though Matthew pushing like mad. As Caden now is making a move round the outside of Brooklands. Those mediums on the Haas guy is going to be completely cold. And Caden, with excellent racecraft there, makes the move and moves into 8th place, net 3rd place. So Caden is doing very well and looking for a strong result today. His next target will be Matthew Alder, who's currently 1.8 seconds up the road. As we see a fight for 2nd place, but I think these two will pit. Matthew picks up a 3-second time penalty, and this guy is a penalty merchant. Matthew needs to stop corner cutting track limits, but apparently that's what the fast guys do. They try and exceed so much, just gain so much time, and that's a shame for Matthew because it could cost him in the end. It could cost him 3 seconds. The gap could be at the end, and just one more penalty could just ruin his race. As Caden and Matthew still find it out for the net 3rd place, as he has to watch out. Rocco is also going to be not that far behind, so if Caden makes a mistake he could lose 2 positions. As Pedro sets new fastest lap, 27.5 seconds, 27.504, not 5 seconds. Improves then. As Michael says 27.1, so he's quicker than his teammate by 4/10. As we'll look on board with gap to leader then, as if it actually tells me, because right now it's not telling me nothing. Gap to lead is around about 19.8 seconds. They need to increase that roughly by 10 seconds. They will be on soft tyres though. As Matthew then makes the move, and now he's in striking distance to Pedro. So he's not that far. He's going to be on fresher tyres than Pedro by a lap. But I don't think that's really going to be that much of a difference because they can easily make it to the end of the race. Stay on board with this fight. I think Cameron is going to be up there actually when he pits, because what gap to him and leader is 19.9 seconds, so, and he's going to be on soft, so he's going to at least lose around about 9 seconds, 8 seconds when he pits. He's going to be on softs, and I'm guessing he's going to be pitting around about lap 16. That's 10 laps. He's going to have to gain a second lap. Those softs are going to be at least over a second faster in the first couple laps, even maybe 2 seconds. So I think Cameron could be up there and possibly get a 3rd place, as I did say in the prediction. As Caden passed the AI of Humongous then, who's still in the points. Unfortunately, he won't be scoring any even if he finishes, since he didn't make it within the 9% rule. Matthew's lost a little bit of time now, as we see a fight further behind. Ryan and Devin going side by side through the final corner, where we saw Albon and I think it was Magnussen crash out. As Devin's gone around the outside into turn 1, they've got to give each other space. They're giving plenty of space. This is a great race to see. former F2 champion versus the current F2 champion. Round the inside then at turn 3, sorry, turn 4 now, as Ryan and Devin are still going side by side. A bit more contact. Obviously these two don't come to blows, and they're still going side by side. This is awesome racing. These two are going to be loving it in the cockpit, and Devin makes the move into 10th place. Ryan drops to 11th, and they will be chuffed to bits with that overtake, because Ryan hasn't actually finished with him. He wants to come back possibly through Lovefields. We'll go on board with him on TV pod. There's a bit of gravel there. Someone's gone in the gravel. Was that Michael? Did he make a mistake into the field? As Devin is doing his best to keep the car ahead of the Renault, as Matthew is 6/10 off Pedro right now. However, they're going down a long straight. If they make an overtake or gets even closer to an overtake, I will switch. Can't make it right now. Kenzal lost the position to Matthews. Ryan is gaining on Devin, but not close enough. So we will go on board with the fight for 5th now. As Michael passes the eye of Joey. As one lap, number 13 out of 26, as the top two still need a pit then. Let's look at gap the leader now. Gap the leader is 18.2 seconds from Pedro. That may be a push now if he... Yeah, I think Cameron may not actually be able to get a 3rd place or even be up there, to be honest, now with the pit stop, since the top two... Well, top two who would be in 1st and 2nd place when Brandon and Cameron pit will have a chance to catch up, because Pedro is only 5.4 seconds off Bran, who still needs to make a scheduled pit stop. And Matthew's not that far off him, so we'll keep an eye on that. He's around about 4/10 currently. If he gains any more, yeah, he's just gained a little bit more. We will go on board with him now. Matthew then is in striking distance. He knows he can fly back, but look at Pedro. He's doing the opposite. Usually Matthew saves plenty of ERS. He's usually good at his ERS management. Pedro is just literally slapping him in the face, saying, I've got plenty of ERS. Make your move if you want. You're not going to get past at the moment. Matthew then is going to have to play it smart when he does make the position, possibly, like even on the next lap. Or is he going to stay behind, save his ERS like he usually does? Because it could cost him in the race, since he has got a penalty and Pedro hasn't. Gap now to leader is 17.6 seconds. Cameron is getting caught quite quickly now by these two, as they are just pulling each other along. And they've got a gap to Matthews now, who's 2.9 seconds away. Caden isn't that far off him. Matthew probably could be trying that, Eric. Could be putting him under pressure, but it is Matthew. He doesn't really play like he pressures everybody, and right now Pedro isn't cracking. And usually the only person who's actually I've seen made Matthew crack under pressure was Jay in Austria, but it's not like Matthew to get a penalty early on like this and start struggling. I know track limits this year are harder, but right now he's trying his best. He's 3/10 now, so he's close to Pedro. So he's gaining every time. He's getting just a couple hundreds each time, every lap. And then he just loses it out of Chapel. But is he close enough? He's got DRS, but he's not using overtake. Cameron picks up a 3-second penalty. Lee Kelly picks up 3-second penalty. So both Red Bulls picking penalties easy, quite quickly there. As Lee Kelly's only on the home straight. Sorry, no, that's Cameron. Lee Kelly's on the hanger straight, wrong straight. As Devin and Ryan then, oh hang on, there's yellows. That is Energy Zeus. Energy Zeus has retired, so Ethan is out. Both Williams drivers are out of the race, and it's caused a VSC. Did he manually retire, or did he lose it into the wall? That could play an interesting factor now in this race. Luckily it wasn't a safety car, because if it was a safety car it would have ruined Brandon and Cameron. But it's technically saved Brandon and Cameron at the moment, as gap to leader is 16.4 seconds. Okay, that can't be right. Why is... Oh, there, it's fixed itself now. I was going to say, it was saying it was like a couple of tenths difference, even though Brand's got a gap of 3.5 seconds ahead of Pedro. That was weird. And Brand's gap's actually getting close quite quickly. It was 5 points somewhere earlier on, like 2 laps ago. So Bran is not safe at the moment, as we can see Caden now 4/10 just then, roughly the exact same time as Matthew's delta was, which isn't changing for some reason, even though he is really close. He's literally on the rear end. He knows now he needs to make the position. Pedro defending on the inside, not using his overtake. He's letting Matthew through. He is letting him. He's being smart. Matthew, though, has got plenty of ERS, so he can now actually save a bit of ERS now, or start pulling away, as they're roughly on the same, well, 10% difference, but they're there, as Pedro then will now have to be on the attack as Cameron peels into the pits then, as he will be out on the softs all the way to the end. 10 laps. Let's see how much time he'll gain. Will he gain 2 seconds a lap for the first couple of laps to gain the advantage, or will he be nowhere near, as Brandon then 2.4 seconds now off Matthew Order, as Cameron is leaving the pit lane, and he is behind his technically Red Bull teammate, Mr. Lee Kelly in 11th. Lee Kelly almost dives it into Julio. Lee Kelly's really getting a bit annoyed and wants to get the position, but if I was Lee, I'd just let Cameron through and let him help him out, because Cameron is on softs and Cameron is making a move, and Lee takes my advice brilliantly there, and if they were teammates, that is amazing teamwork. And Cameron then will be now making his move up the field very shortly, as Pedro now is 3/10. He's closer than Matthew was in sector 3. Matthew's 1.7 off Bran. This could be crucial now. Maybe this is why Matthew overtaken him, so he could get the DRS from Bran. Bran will be pitting soon, either this lap or next lap. But look how much speed Pedro gains on Matthew, but he's not using his overtake, so that's hardly his max speed there. Matthew probably was using a little bit of overtake just to pull away. Brandon pits, so Brandon's in the pits then. So Cameron and Bran will be going to the end now on softs and looking for the fastest lap. Well, there is loads of other battles on track. There's no overtakes at the moment. The closest actually overtake is further behind, Cameron then in 10th. So we will keep an eye on that, since I don't think these top two will be fighting then, as Cameron is setting the fastest lap, I believe. No, he didn't. He did a 28.1. He's a second off. So, and he just dives it out. Devin just has nothing to answer. He's doing a Max Verstappen, Cameron. He's just sending it, and he easily makes those moves. And now he's into 8th place, as the IRL Humongous then in 14th. Is now in 14th. Ollie then is in 12th, and he's actually passed Brad. Oh, Cameron very close there to Ryan, shoves him out to dry, very close. That could have easily been a crash waiting to happen there, and Ryan will be very disappointed in the race, since he was near the top, qualified in 1st, I believe, or 2nd, and his race got ruined at the start by a Mr. CRG Blizzard. But it is a shame. Cameron then is 2.6 seconds down the road from Michael. Oh, sorry, behind him. So up the road, Michael is 2.6. So Michael is going to have to watch out, because Cameron is going to be at least gaining a second a lap. We'll scratch that. He's actually gaining 1.5 seconds already in sector 2. So he's roughly gaining then almost 2.3 seconds a lap then, almost. I agree there, he's not that far. I said he would be out of it since he was losing time, but he still could get 3rd place. As Pedro and Matthew are still firing it off in the lead. As Pedro's really close, just saving all his ERS. Cameron sets a new fast lap, 26.28, well, roughly 87/10 quicker than the old fastest lap, which was a 27 flat. Matthew Order then, 4/10, just ahead of Pedro, isn't safe, and this isn't good for Matthew, because he could lose the win. Just look how much time Pedro is gaining. If Matthew doesn't pull away, we will have a different winner today. I think this will be Pedro's first win this season, if he gets his cards right and doesn't make a mistake and doesn't get a penalty. But he's really gaining now. He will use his overtake, I think, since he's really close. Matthew trying to take wide lines, taking wrong lines there. He's just losing time. He just lost a little bit of time there, then gained just a couple of hundredths, if that, and it's not helping him. Matthew is under threat by Pedro. Pedro could easily win this race, easily could overtake him, and it's going to be worrying Matthew a little bit. Pedro hasn't been this competitive this season. Maybe if Matthew has a bit of bad luck, which is highly unlikely, but I'm just saying if he has a bit of bad luck, Pedro could be a title contender, or Pedro could even be a title contender next season as Devin loses position to Julio in 9th. So the AlphaTauri team will be possibly scoring it if it stayed like this. 26 points. Is Matthew not had the fastest lap? As Lee K gets another 3-second time penalty and he's actually gone off. Don't tell me he's deliberately crashed into the wall or he's just lost it. No, I think he's lost it. Well, hopefully he can get under control, Mr. Lee Kelly, as Pedro has lost a ton of time, by almost 7/10 there. And he has to use a bit of his ERS. Matthew's not using any. As Cameron's now 1.2 seconds off Michael now, who's then 4.6 seconds off Rocco, who's currently fighting for 3rd place with Caden. As we'll keep an eye on that fight as well. I don't think Pedro's going to make a move yet. So we're going to go with Caden then, who's possibly now going to make a move. He can just easily make it and try and actually catch up ahead because those two are fighting. If I was Caden, make the move and just try and pull away. He doesn't have that much. He has a bit of contact. Side by side, the one with the right hander there. Almost come to blows. Caden is trying his best to get ahead of Matthews as Rocco has now seen an opportunity. Oh, it's contact. There is contact. Caden has had a bit of contact with Matthews. Is that Mr. Cameron Young or is that Lee Kelly? I see a red ball in Magazine Beckett's out of control. It is Lee Kelly losing the positions and drops to 12th. This youngster is not having a good day in the office today. As Rocco gets 4th then, and now he will be challenging Caden. And Caden will have to watch out. He hasn't got that much fuel. More yellows. Lee Kelly has... Oh no. Lee Kelly might get a big penalty now because he's probably just literally just sent it into the wall and just called it a VSC. Oh god. Oh, but why do people, like, if they have a bad race, just give up and just crash into the wall? It does me head. You're not going to get perfect races all the time unless you're CRT Blizzard, but still, don't just give up. I agree, I blame him as well. As the VSC has ended, so we do go back green flag racing. It's going to help the driver save the ERS and fuel, but it could have easily been a full safety car and literally threw a spanner in the works. Could have even had Caden winning this race. Even though I wouldn't mind that, but still, it's not fair for the other drivers. Like, people are just crashing out deliberately. However, back to racing. Mr. Rocco Welch wants another podium in this division, and he's in 3rd place. So Rocco is possibly looking for a podium, and could even take 2nd place if Matthew gets more penalties. As one lap 21 out of 26. 6 laps remaining of the race. Caden though isn't done with him as Pedro now is 8/10 behind. So Rocco's run about 8 seconds off the leader. I'm guessing 7.9. Yeah, 7.9 to 8 seconds now. So Matthew has picked up the pace. He knows he has that penalty. And yeah, it's... Rocco isn't safe. Pedro picks up a 3-second time penalty. That is crucial for the race. Now, those two are level pegging on penalties. Is Matthew then going to take the win in the end on track, or will he pick up another penalty? I'm not going to look at penalties because I don't want to ruin it. I only read out penalties if I see it. But those two are on the same penalties now, I believe. So, will Matthew pick up another? Rocco is currently holding his own as Matthews now has a little bit of time to Caden. Pedro sets a new fastest lap, 26.2, so he's basically just destroyed what Cameron did on softs by just a couple hundredths or just a couple of thousandths quicker than Matthew. Very close from them two as they're picking the pace up. 22 out of 26. Still a couple of laps left for a safety car or a massive crash that Kelly has left then, so that's lead done then. So we've only had 3 DNFs today, which is surprising. Well, technically 4 with Humongous lagging out, so we only have 12 drives remaining. So as Matthew said, it runs a bit wide and he's already out of DRS range, so Matthews was the issue for these two, trying to pull away. And Caden is trying his best, just trying to get closer and closer to Rocco. Rocco then in third, 5 tenths ahead of Caden, and Caden's just doing his best to try and get third. One of these drivers wants third place. Rocco wants another podium. As he got third last week, he wants third again. Caden had a bad result last week, was looking for a podium, didn't get it, had a bit of contact with Nino which ruined his race, and is looking for a podium today and to try and bring his championship hopes back alive. As Devin picks up a 3-second time penalty, as Pedro is 4 tenths now. He's in striking distance. He knows he needs to get the car ahead of Matthew Older, as now he's just lost a ton of time and is now dropped to almost a second. As we're going to go on Cameron Young, he is literally a 2 tenths. Look how close he's getting to Michael. He could easily get third place if he gets past these two on this lap. He needs to get past these two on this lap. If he doesn't, it's game over. There is no chance, unless by penalties, he gets third. Remember, he has 6 seconds worth of penalties, so it's also going to be a big task to actually make the moves and then pull a 6-second gap. The gap to Caden and Rocco is 2 and a bit tenths. Really close now, Caden is to Rocco, as we will keep an eye on that as well. If he gets any closer, I'm going to go on board with him. Which is now, and he's literally 3 tenths. 4 tenths now, he's losing it. I think Rocco's safe. What about Michael? Michael is safe. He's getting DRS from Matthews then. So Michael Royce, it looks like he's going to take a position possibly soon if he keeps playing his cards right. As actually, hang on a minute. There is a fight for first place. It's Matthew Older and Pedro. These two are still fighting it out. Alfa Romeo did have a good result last week. They're looking for another good result. 2nd and 6th, or 1st and 5th possibly. Devin and Julio are still fighting it out side by side as they go through Vale now. As Devin loses the position. Oh, look at that. Pedro trying to pull the power on early as possible and just losing a little bit of grip. And look how much ERS Matthew has. 28%. Look how much. And Pedro making the move. Into Brooklands they go. Side by side. Matthew has to give him space. Matthew does give him space, but Pedro has to give him space as well. As they're going side by side. Hopefully these two don't crash each other out, because we could have Rocco Welsh winning. As Matthew is defending to the inside for Corpse Corner. Who is going to lift? Who's going to brake? They don't brake. Only Pedro lifts off. Rocco now is under threat by Kane behind. Look how close. Oh, almost making a move into Mackers and Beckett. That probably unnerved Matthew a little bit. Will he make a move though on this flying lap? Look how much overtake he's got. He's got hardly any. But look how much the straight line speed he's getting. He's making a move round the outside. Who is it going to be? Will it be Pedro? Will it be Matthew? Is it still going side by side? A bit of contact. Matthew holds a position. What about Rocco and Caden? Caden is moving up in the world. He moves into 3rd place and he will be happy with that. Pedro then, is we go back on board with him, he is really close. Gaining and gaining. Very close now. Who's going to get the position? Who's going to win this race? Put your comments in the chat. Who's going to win? Will it be Matthew? Will it be Pedro? Or will it even be Caden, who's 8.9 seconds as Pedro tries to make a dive on Matthew? Couldn't make it work. Pedro then makes the move, and I think I know what he's playing. Oh, a bit of contact there. Matthew's front wing hits Pedro's. That's twice today he's hit her now for a male. Pedro squeezes him. Matthew doesn't like that, and Matthew has been squeezed a little bit there, and I would say calmer since he's done it to other people, but I think these two have earned the respect today of me throwing shots at Matthew. You know, I usually do, a bit of banter, but Matthew is doing his best to get the car ahead. He knows he can win this race. He knows he's basically got the championship solved and easily going to win and be a 3rd time champion. But Matthew then, saving his ERS as plenty as he can, and he doesn't even need it to make the position. He's making the move through the fast right-handers, going side by side, a bit of contact, a bit of a lag. Oh no, Matthew! Matthew's bit of contact with Pedro. Matthew hit his tyre. Matthew there, just lack of concentration. Tried to give him plenty of space. Has that cost him the win? He's going to have to use all his ERS on the final lap of this race. Who's going to win? Will it be Pedro? Will it be Matthew as we're on the final lap through turn 1? As Eric says, it possibly will be Matthew then. Pedro locks up on the right-hander. Rocco, as I've just noticed, is back in 3rd place, as there's a massive trade for that position. The 3rd all the way down to 7th place. Matthew now 4 tenths, and he's still got plenty of ERS. He hasn't had a good run. Pedro knows what he's got to do, but Matthew now is gaining. Is Pedro saving fuel deliberately just to let him close up and then possibly try and get a better exit than him? Because right now, Matthew has picked up the pace really quickly, and he's so close. He could easily touch him. That close he is. He wants the position. He knows he can win this race. He needs the bad luck streak of Britain to end. He wants to win here. He's 6 tenths of his PB. Is he going to make it? Round the outside he's going then. Will Pedro back off? Pedro leaves him plenty of room. Pedro's lost the position. It looks like the 2-time champion has basically knocked the wind out of the Alfa Romeo. And it looks like Matthew Alder is going to take a win in Britain. He could have won last season. Didn't happen because of a penalty and a puncher. He's going to win this weekend. He takes pole position by 3.3 seconds. Pedro had an extra penalty that I didn't actually know of. Caden will round up the grid then in 3rd place. Rocco will finish 4th. Matthew's 5th. Michael Royce in 6th. Ryan 7th. Cameron drops to 8th then with his penalties added up. Julio then will be taking a lonely, well not really lonely, Devon's right behind him in 9th. Devon takes 10th. Brandon in 11th. Not looking for fastest lap. Fastest lap is currently held by Pedro, 26.2. And that is Ollie, I think, is going to get that. As here comes Brandon then. He will finish in 11th place, and he will be happy with that. Ollie then will be finishing in 12th. Currently 4 tenths up on his lap. His fastest lap is a 28.296. He needs to find at least over 2 seconds to beat that lap. Let's see what his second sector. 1.4 seconds. So 1.4 seconds. It's a high 26. It isn't good enough, I don't think. He needs to at least find a lot more time. He needs to find around about 2.3 seconds, maybe 2.5 to just beat the lap. As Ollie then is coming now around the final couple of corners. He will be the last driver to come across the line since Humongous lagged out. Ollie then, will he take the fast lap? Will he steal Pedro's extra lap? Yes, he does. Ollie then takes the fastest lap in the end, and Pedro or Faz will be very disappointed with that, but will be happy with 2nd. And will Matthew be able to keep 1st place as Cameron Young gets drive day? Well deserved in my opinion. But will Matthew be able to keep his 1st place, because he may get a penalty with the contact he had in turn 1, which caused Ryan to spin out, and I know Ryan will definitely report that since he will be very annoyed. However though, the top step on the podium this weekend is none other than your 2-time champion Matthew Alder, who looks like he's going to take a 3rd title quite easy, as Pedro then takes 2nd, and Caden finally gets his podium, which he wished he had at Bahrain, but he gets it at Britain at his home race in 3rd place, and he will be happy with that, as we will be doing podium interviews for these 3. I don't know if Pedro has a mic or if he wants to join, but I know the 1st and 3rd driver will join the interviews, and that is a good result from them. Well then, here are your official results. Matthew Alder then takes 1st place, even though with a bit of chaos. I did say though in qualifying he had the pace to win the race. Pedro in 2nd, Caden 3rd, Rocco in 4th, Matthew's 5th, Michael Royce in 6th, Ryan in 7th, Cameron Young with a very recovery drive from 16th, got 8th, even with penalties he was 6th but lost a couple of positions. Julio in 9th, Devin takes 10th then, Brandon in 11th, Ollie who takes the fastest lap at 26 flat then, just improved enough to take 12th place. Humongous who lagged out then with Lee Kelly, Energy Zeus and Gavin all DNF from today's race. Well then. I agree, Silverstone never disappoints. Just Spain what disappoints F1, to be honest. As I will invite then the top 3 of Mr. CRG Blizzard and Mr. Caden Forbes. Where are you at? Well then, well, okay, apparently that doesn't exist, but alright then. And there we go. All 3 have been invited then. So while we wait for the top 3 to join, Derek, are you drunk again? That's not how you spell Sondra. Sondra Scar. As we wait for the top 3 then, as Matthew and Caden will be joining shortly. Or hopefully they'll join shortly so we can do interviews. So go on, Sondra, girl. I don't think that's the best option to do, mate, especially when Sondra's usually drunk. Although he's been a bit too drunk on NBA, to be honest. I'll just notify them that I actually have sent them invites. Because I did this last time and then they joined as soon as I ended the stream. No, not need to. Mr. Blizzard is in the party, and so is Mr. Caden Forbes. Well then, I've just got to say, awesome racing. But we will start off with the 2-time world champion, a possible 3rd-time world champion, Mr. CRG Blizzard, or as he likes to call himself, Driving God. I disagree, but still. Matthew then, yeah. I've got to say, I've been like the least biased for you today. Good result in the end, even though lap 1, turn 2 or 3, they call it, a bit of contact with you, which caused the driver to go all the way to the back of the grid. However, though, how do you think your race went with your qualifying in 4th? You knew you could have qualified first if you didn't invalidate that lap. How do you think it went overall?
Well, the quality was slightly disappointing. I mean, I knew I'd be fine anyway. I mean, top 4, that's fine, because Britain is quite DRS OP. So I didn't really have too much worries about qualifying P4 anyway. Into the race, as you talked about that incident, yeah, I was quite fortunate. I mean, I was going to try and go for the move on the K2, and then he closed off for the last second, so I couldn't really do much. And then for the rest of the race, managed it quite well. After the VSC, I had a really good restart on both of them. On the second one, I tried to get rid of Faz. It didn't work, as you saw by me and him saying fastest laps right after another. That didn't work, so I just saved as much DRS as possible. He didn't seem to want to pass me, so I think he was trying to do the same, which was good for me because it just allowed me to save the DRS easier. Didn't need to do any kind of hard work to make sure that I kept ahead of him. And yeah, the contact in the last lap, well, wasn't that bad. I mean, definitely could have gotten more room, but it didn't ruin my race or anything, so I'm not angry about it or anything. And then played it perfectly in the last lap and got the win.
You just got to add that comment, played it perfectly on the last lap. But yeah, I have to agree with that. You did very well to keep up with Pedro, and I've got to say, Pedro this season, it wasn't really in it this season, and he's come up to you and actually challenged you. It's been up there, and I've got to say he's done very well today. But yeah, with that contact where he squeezed you off a little bit, it was very close, because I thought you were going round, and I thought then he's won. But he actually picked up another penalty, which I actually didn't know of. He actually had 6 seconds worth of penalties, and you only had 3. Did you know he had that many penalties, and you knew that you could just cruise away for the win, or did you not know any of that information?
Well, the last time I checked was before he got the last penalty, so I tried to fight it and get the win. I probably would have stuck behind him if it wasn't for that.
Well, I'm just trying to think, any other questions, any other amazing moves did you make? No, you didn't. But the next round is Hanoi. I hate that track. How do you feel you're going to be around there?
Well, my pace is good around there. Probably be one of my top 5 tracks on the calendar. Maybe it's a bit of an exaggeration, maybe top 10 most likely. If it wasn't for the horrible track limits and the chicane. But I like the trackers overall. particularly last sector. Last sector is really nice to drive. So yeah, I like it. I think I can win there.
Well, it's good to hear that you think you can win there, and hopefully you do get another win, since you're doing a very strong performance for the championship. I think that third title is basically yours in a couple of rounds. And I've got to say then that's going to be a new record for IRL, 3 back-to-back titles. Do you go by records, or do you just go race by race and just do what you need to do?
Well, given that records are the only thing that I actually don't have in this league, some of them, that's really the only thing I'm aiming for. Obviously I can't dip most races now because Brown's in the top tier again, but I'm just going for all of the other ones now, and also making sure that it's practically impossible to not be able to get more championships than me.
Okay then, well, thank you for the interview, Matthew, and obviously congratulations on first place, and hopefully we can see you on the podium again. Well then, Mr. Caden Forbes.
Hello.
Well, you've had a very good race then, getting in third place, having a nice battle with Rocco, and having a massive train to deal with as well. How do you think your race went, and did you think you could have got a better position than that, and do you think this is a bit more motivation for the rest of the season, since you had a very disappointing race in Bahrain?
My quality was horrible, and about disappointing race, I was taken out while I was battling for the lead. My quality was horrible. I had the okay start. I think I was 5th, but then obviously the turn 3 incident with Matthew. I mean, I had a car spin in front of me, so I was kind of boxed in, and I lost a couple of positions. So it was a bit tough from there, but I made my way through the field. I had to use quite a lot of ERS and fuel from probably lap 8. I was managing both fuel and ERS. Like I was on probably like 20%, 20 to 40% on ERS most of the time, and I was managing fuel as it was in the red a lot since the first stint. But I mean, I had to use my ERS to keep up with Matthias. Well, I was trying to save, but he was using quite a bit. So yeah, and then I overtook him once I realised I was faster than him, but I didn't really save much ERS, unfortunately. Then Rocco got by on him, and yeah, I was just saving from that point. Like, if I stayed ahead of him, he would probably overtake me on the last lap, like I did to him. So I stayed ahead for a bit once I knew I couldn't break away, and I just let him by, and I just bided my time until the last lap, because I knew he would have no chance of defending if I have a lot more overtake and DRS and slipstream. It would be a pretty easy move for me to make, so I did make that, and yeah, that's how my race went basically.
Well, you did a very good result after your poor qualifying then, with third place. And did you think, even though you did make the moves quite easy on Rocco, do you think Rocco was, I don't know, possibly a danger for your race there, since he got a podium in Bahrain? Did you think he could like get another podium if you didn't get past him on that final couple of laps?
Well, of course he'd get another podium if I didn't pass him, because he was in 3rd. Well, I mean, I'm just happy I got the podium, to be honest. I quite enjoyed the race, and I felt I had to get past him at one point. I knew I could get past him, it's just a matter of actually doing it. I was like quite conservative and staying back a lot of the race. So.
Okay then, well, one quick question then before I ask you the actual final question. I know this season your title hopes may be out of the window at the moment, since Matthew's literally destroying all the competition. But do you think next season you could be a title contender? Because you have shown the pace, like at Bahrain you were up there with Matthew in quali and that, and then today you were up there in quali a little bit, and then unfortunately quali at the end messed up, but then in the race you were actually closing a little bit when they were fighting. Do you think you could be a title contender to Matthew next season?
I mean, I've battled Matthew a lot in a lot of different leagues, so I mean, if I put practice in, I mean, me and Matthew, we both do no practice, so if I practice, probably, like, if I'm more consistent, probably, but I mean, I can, but you know, Matthew's one of the best drivers on PS4, so it would be hard. But I can battle with him and I can fight against him.
Okay then, well then, final question, that is Hanoi next week. How do you feel you're going to be there? Do you think you could get another podium, possible win, or just points is on the cards?
I think Matthew will win in Hanoi because he's really fast, but I'm actually quite good at Hanoi, especially I'm on pad, which is unusual. I quite enjoy the track. I think probably a podium if I don't get any bad luck or I don't bottle anything. So hopefully I can do well.
Okay then, well that's good to hear that you're playing for a podium if everything goes to plan, and it's going to be hard, especially with pad, and since it's mainly a wheel track in Sector 3, since with the walls and that, but hopefully you don't end up in the wall or anything. And I've got to say, yet again, you two drivers, good result today, good racing from both of you, and well then, I'll start the close down procedure and we'll end the stream. Well then, this has been International Racing League Season 8 F1 Round 7 at Britain. I have been your commentator IRL Nain, or Gerard Fosbury. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you want to see more content from IRL, join us tomorrow for F3, which is by Lance LeBron at 4:30 UK time, and then F5, which now is brought by Shane for F5, still 4:30 UK time, and then on Wednesday for FP, which will be at Hanoi at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. So hope you guys have a good time, and see you guys next time. Goodbye.